All right, so let's jump right in at the moment this whole story just exploded into the public consciousness. It all starts with a single, desperate phone call on May 6, 2013, a call that would change everything. Can you even imagine hearing those words? That was the voice of Amanda Berry, a young woman who had vanished a decade earlier, the day before her 17th birthday. After 10 years of silence, she finally found a chance, broke through a locked door, and screamed for help. That one phone call was the key that unlocked a decade-long nightmare. And this timeline, it really puts the sheer length of their ordeal into perspective. Amanda Berry, gone for 10 years. Gina DeJesus, 9 years. And for Michelle Knight, it was 11 years. An entire decade of their lives just stolen.
So the big question is, what was actually happening inside that house at 2207 Seymour Avenue all that time? Well, the details that started coming out were more terrifying than anyone could have possibly imagined.
And here we have it, in black and white. This is a memo from the prosecutor's office, and it lays out the stark reality. The victims, it says, were kept as prisoners, bound with chains and ropes, held in locked rooms. This wasn't just a kidnapping. This was a systematic, long-term torture chamber. You see, for years, they suffered constant physical and sexual abuse. They were isolated, locked away, sometimes for incredibly long periods, and literally chained up. And somehow, in the middle of all this horror, a child was born. Amanda Berry's daughter spent the first 6 years of her life inside that house, with no idea an outside world even existed. Which brings us to the man at the center of all of this, Ariel Castro. So who was this guy? How on earth did he manage to hide these monstrous acts from his neighbors, his own family, from everybody, for more than a decade? You look into his past, and what do you find? Basically, nothing. His high school records show he was a totally unremarkable student. A C average, a 2.15 GPA, no big red flags, no obvious signs of the monster he'd become. He was, for all intents and purposes, just an average guy. But then you find something like this. And honestly, it is just deeply, deeply chilling. This is his own handwriting on a job application. Under interests and skills, he wrote, "Working with children and young people." It's a terrifying look right into his predatory mindset, hiding in plain sight. And this is where the contrast just becomes, wow, it's almost unbelievable. Castro's job was as a school bus driver. His entire responsibility was to keep children safe, and yet, here's a disciplinary report because he left a kid alone on the bus to go grab a bite to eat. It shows a pattern of negligence that just went unchecked for years. So once the women were free and Castro was arrested, the focus immediately shifts. The question for the entire justice system was, now what? How do you even begin to find justice for crimes this horrific? Well, for starters, you're looking at this number, 937. That's how many criminal counts Ariel Castro is indicted on. The charges were just staggering: kidnapping, rape, and even aggravated murder for the pregnancies he brutally terminated while Michelle Knight was in captivity. Now, obviously, nobody wanted to put these women through the added trauma of a long public trial. And with the death penalty on the table, prosecutors moved toward a plea deal. This document you're seeing is the official proffer, the first step in making that happen. And what that plea agreement means is this. He pleaded guilty to every single one of those 937 counts. In return, he was sentenced to life in prison, plus another 1,000 years. The crucial part? Absolutely no possibility of parole. Ever. His freedom was gone for good. This sentencing was the first time the survivors could confront him face to face. And in this incredibly powerful moment, Michelle Knight looked her captor right in the eye and said that, "I spent 11 years in hell. Now your hell is just beginning." Just an amazing moment of reclaiming her power. But this story, it doesn't just end with a monster in a prison cell. Because what happens next is about a community trying to heal and about 3 survivors taking back control of their lives and of their own stories. That house on Seymour Avenue, it wasn't just a house anymore. It was a scar on the neighborhood, a physical symbol of what had happened there. For the community, and especially for the families, it was this constant, painful reminder. So naturally, everyone wanted it gone. It had to go. And that became a part of the plea deal. Just 3 months after the rescue, the house that had served as their prison was completely demolished, wiped off the map. It was this powerful, necessary act for everyone to move forward. And this is such a symbolic moment. They didn't just hire a crew. No, Gina DeJesus' own mother, Nancy Ruiz, was given control of the wrecking ball. She made the very first strike against the house that held her daughter. It was an act of pure triumph.
And this is maybe the most important part of their story after the escape. They refuse to be defined by what happened to them. Michelle Knight, who now goes by Lily Rose Lee, wrote Finding Me. And Amanda Berry and Gina DeJesus wrote Hope together. They took back their own narratives, telling the world their story in their own words.
So when all is said and done, this whole case leaves us with one really unsettling question. Ariel Castro was a neighbor, a bus driver, someone people saw every day. It's just this stark reminder that sometimes the most terrible secrets are hidden right behind an ordinary front door. And it reminds us why it's so important to stay vigilant and to look out for each other.